This was literally January 1 at like 7 p.m. I'm getting a call. This January 1, 2024, getting a call 7 p.m. at night like, hey, we got a fire at a facility. Wham. Just smashed that gate hardcore as they were trying to fit through the gate there. You know, you come in on a Wednesday morning, you might run into something like this, and you will run into something like this at some point in time. You're going to have people breaking into units, cutting into fences, ramming fences down, all of these different things going on at your facilities. And you need to be able to be not only like prepared from a process standpoint, but mentally prepared to sit here and watch something like this happen at your facility. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another podcast episode of the Self-Storage Income Podcast. You got me, Connor, hanging out with you today. AJ is off doing something epic somewhere. I don't know. Can't keep track of the guy. We're going to put an Apple tracker on this dude one of these days. But he's out there crushing it, as always, doing amazing. But we wanted to make sure that we're pumping out this content for you guys, that we're able to connect with you consistently. And so I am here today, running things solo, hanging out with you guys. And we're going to have a really awesome episode today. We're going to talk a little bit about the horror stories of self-storage. Obviously, a lot of times you hear about how amazing storage is and how easy or hands-off or what a cash cow it is, or all of these positive benefits and all of just the good, right? All the rainbows, all the sunshine. But the fact of the matter is we have to realize and understand that self-storage is really not a passive set it, let it be type asset. Honestly, you shouldn't want that anyways. You want to go in, you want to work hard, you want to maximize that asset, maximize the revenue, maximize your wealth and wealth creation over time, right? So today, we're going to be talking about some really fun stuff. And I've got a few videos to share with you guys today too that we'll dive into, and I'm super excited to share it with you because I use these a lot in presentations when we're meeting with our inner circle groups or at events and those different things. One of my things that I love to say all the time is it's so passive, it's so passive, air quotes, because it's not. It's very, very not passive. It's a business. There's so many different dynamics to it. I mean, you've got your tenants, you got your third parties, you've got your employees, you've got the physical asset, and all of the multitude of issues that can go on with any number of those aspects of the facility. You're talking softwares, you're talking hardwares, you're talking processes, procedures, managing people, leadership, the coordination there again with third parties, contractors, vendors, service providers, all of those things, and things do and will go wrong all the time. I was talking to one of our colleagues here before the podcast, and it doesn't matter who you are or what level that you're at. I got a guy that I follow that owns a bunch of gyms, and he posted this video earlier today on Instagram showing this HVAC unit at one of his facilities just pouring water through. It's leaking all over inside of this basketball court. They're tearing up the basketball court floor, getting it all fixed. This is crap that we run into and see all the time with assets. When we have HVACs fail, we have leaks that happen, which you'll see in some of these videos and photos that I'm going to share with you guys today. But I think it's really, really important that we all do take a step back and realize how not passive self-storage is, because again, it's running a business. It's not just, I'm going to do this, buy it, not do anything, make a ton of money, sit on the beach, do nothing. That is not what it is, not what it should be. Obviously, if you want to be passive, there's ways to do that. You can be an investor in deals and be hands-off, but you're not going to be able to, again, have that ownership. You're not going to be able to drive the level of wealth creation and equity creation that you could by being an owner, and in the time frame that you could in being an owner versus an investor. But being an investor is a great way to be passive. It's a fantastic way to get in, to reap the benefits of the asset of self-storage, to be a part of it, and to not really have to be hands-on. You just got to make sure that you're investing with a great operator, and you know who you're investing with. So that said, what I want to do, I want to jump into some of these videos with you guys here real quick. First one I'm going to dive into is Chevy, not a Ram. It's a fantastic video. This is one of our facilities. There's two vehicles here. And you've got one guy that's come in a very inconspicuous vehicle, breaking down fences. And you'll see the other vehicle come in here in just a minute. Got to give it another good go there. Here's the other vehicle coming in, truck's backing in. And essentially what these guys were doing, they were going around to facilities, knocking fences down, going in and trying to hook up to trailers and steal people's trailers in these open parking areas. Again, this is something that, you come in on a Wednesday morning, you might run into something like this, and you will run into something like this at some point in time. You're going to have people breaking into units, cutting into fences, ramming fences down, all of these different things going on at your facilities. And you need to be able to be not only prepared from a process standpoint, but mentally prepared to sit here and watch something like this happen at your facility. You need to be able to have the equipment and security measures in place to be able to capture these kinds of things, to be able to work in coordination with law enforcement, and all of the different aspects that go along with managing an event like this. And so it's one of those things that you have to have processes. You have to understand that this isn't just, you're not going to have to do anything. And again, too, you got to think of employees. What's their safety like? What's the facility? How do we handle these break-ins and the types of individuals conducting those break-ins and that coordination again with law enforcement? It's definitely a lot. And if you're not mentally prepared, it's going to be extremely stressful. I can't tell you how annoying it is even for me to look and see videos like that where I'm like, dude, that's my freaking building. That's my property. What are you doing? And that's other people's property. That's my tenant's property that you're going in and trying to steal. It's just totally bonkers, totally insane what people do nowadays. Well, they've always done it, but it's just crazy to see. Let's see, what else do we want to dive in here and show you guys? Demo derby time. This is another really good one. This is kind of a quick one from what I remember here. Let me just make sure and get you right here to the beginning. This vehicle is just parked. This tenant was just in their unit here, as you can see, hanging out, doing their thing, all of this stuff. And this vehicle just decided that they were going to get through at whatever cost. And unfortunately, that ended up being running into this vehicle, as you'll see. There's some choice words that these tenants have for that individual here. Obviously, as you might imagine, a few expletives here and there. But again, another situation, how do you deal with the tenants that just experienced that? How do you, again, deal with law enforcement and identify or try to identify the tenant or individual that ran into that vehicle? Was it a tenant or was it somebody, that the tenant let in, that another tenant let in at some point in time? So again, another really good one. This one's a doozy for sure. We got, it's labeled what gate, right? As you'll see, we use obviously some junk services to come in to clean some things out every now and then. You got a couple trucks leaving here, it looks like. And, first truck goes through. There's a reason why we say don't be tailgating other vehicles through the gates, even though they do have a number of different sensors and different things. But if you look, you see, wham, just smashed that gate hardcore as they were trying to fit through the gate there. So anyways, another doozy, another total just bonkers situation.
Technology is the name of the game, and how you operate your facility and the efficiency at which you can operate will depend on the technology you use. Your property management system, what it allows you to do, and what you have access will determine the outcome of how that facility performs. That's why we go with Tenant Inc. with their product Hummingbird, because they are the best in class when dealing with automation, when dealing with move-ins, customer acquisition process. improving my online acquisition process, they are bar none the best. So if you are looking to automate your facility or operate it in a best-in-class way, make sure you guys are looking at Tenant Inc. and their product Hummingbird. The link is in the description.
Glamping, that's another thing. Obviously, you get a lot of people trying to live in storage units. As incredible as that sounds, it's a thing for sure. You will see it. People will try to do it at your facility for sure. You have to keep a close eye on this. It's a huge liability. People cannot do it, and make sure that you're not allowing that in any way, shape, or form at your facilities. This person wasn't living in their unit. However, they had gone into their unit and set up, essentially built a little shelf against the wall, had some kind of combustible situation against the wall, decided that they would leave that there and leave the facility. It ended up catching fire, obviously, as you can see. So you can actually see this is this little shelf that they built that fit along this wall right here. And they just had something. The fire department believed that whatever it was had fallen down, started the fire against the back of the wall here and started burning up the wall a little bit. A lot of this just blackness above it here is just the smoke damage. Really, there was only a little bit of fire damage to this little section here apparently. Again, I'll leave that to all the experts, but obviously created a huge situation for us to fix and deal with. And this was literally January 1 at like 7 p.m. I'm getting a call. This January 1, 2024, getting a call 7 p.m. at night like, hey, we got a fire at a facility. And it's just, again, this was, I can't remember what the first was, but again, holiday, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, guys. This owning a business, owning a storage facility, it is 24/7. You are there, you are focused on it, you are working on it all the time. Again, you have the tenants, you have the asset, you have contractors, third parties, all of the things to work on, to cover, to deal with. It doesn't just stop. And again, there's ways obviously that you can scale and grow, but then that turns into managing those pieces that obviously you're operating the facility at that point. Again, you're talking employees, you're talking contractors. All of that's going to take management. As you can see, fire department came in and on this side, they just started sawing doors open. Pretty gnarly, pretty crazy, but they had to get in there fast, get it done, and they did a great job. They were a little bit more careful on the other side of the building. On the other side of this building, there was a couple units that they cut into to make sure the fire hadn't gotten to the other side of the wall here. And they actually ended up just cutting through like a latch. You can see one of the latches here on the doors. They ended up just cutting the latch on a couple sides here to unlock it so they could just throw the door open, which made it a little bit nicer after the fact, because while we were, coordinating for weeks and weeks with insurance and all these other things, we were able to actually, have somewhat of a door on on the unit as opposed to these that literally just were left open. And obviously people couldn't occupy them or anything like that, but still it's, aesthetics wise, everything else, it's definitely not preferred to have your facility looking like that. And working through things with the insurance obviously does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so you definitely, as those things happen, you don't want to go in and be touching in this stuff and doing the repairs and doing all these different things. You literally want to touch nothing, get the insurance on the line, follow the directions they give you. Because you go in, start touching stuff, and before you know it, like insurance is like, hey, you did X, Y, and Z. We're only covering this. We're not covering that. And it could turn into a big disaster. So make sure you got a good agency and you're coordinating with them super close on these big issues like this that end up happening. And another key piece of this, again, is making sure that every day you guys are getting eyes on these facilities, that you're getting out there regularly, you're looking at these facilities, you're confirming that there's not suspicious activity, that people aren't trying to live in their units. Again, it's a huge liability, not only for situations like this, where, I mean, if somebody literally, say a person fell asleep in here and something burned up and they ended up dying or whatever. I mean, there's just so many problems that happen with these things. Like, you have to stay on top of this stuff. There's no two ways about it. And you either need really good employees on site at these locations going through and making sure that these things aren't happening, making sure that all the policies and procedures are being followed at your facility, that tenants are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you're getting rid of the ones that are doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing. So you just have to stay on top of this stuff. With that said, well, the other thing too, I actually want to talk a little bit to this as well, having, again, processes in place to make sure that whether it's just yourself or you do have a team, that you have a process in place to deal with a fire, a natural disaster, or whatever might possibly happen at your facility. We've seen all of it. We've seen floods, we've seen fires, we've seen the break-ins, we've seen wind damage, we've seen all the things happen, and you need to have a plan in place that you and your employees know and understand, to be able to, again, document what happened, track the project through from start to finish, to manage it, to not have a, oh crap, what do we do? Like, there's a fire, like, who do we call? Like, how does this work? Like, those are not the times to be figuring these things out. Figure them out before they happen. Again, look at your region. What kind of natural disasters do you guys have? Are there earthquakes? Are there tornadoes, hurricanes? How do you deal with that? What do you do? Who are you going to call? Who takes lead on what? Identify the roles and responsibilities. And again, make sure those policies, procedures, and processes are in place. Let's back out of this one. Super interesting stuff. And then last but not least, I wanted to share this one labeled "Everything is Fine." As you can see, everything is certainly not fine. This is just another example, again, of this was a situation where some pipes had burst in this dwelling unit at one of the facilities that we own and operate. And as you can see, just it burst, started leaking. This is actually a really, really good testament to the fact that if you guys do have living quarters on site at your facilities, if they are occupied and or vacant, no matter what it is, make sure that you're able to inspect them regularly at any point in time that you need to. Obviously, if they're occupied, you've got to be aware of how to handle those situations and what kind of notices you need to provide and those different things. But make sure that you're able to get eyes on these areas regularly, make sure that they're being taken care of properly, all of that. And then also these situations where, in this particular case, this area actually wasn't occupied at the time. We ended up just having the employee that was there on site identified the issue, immediately let us know, and which was fantastic. And again, that's what you need on site at these locations. You can't, I mean, imagine if this had just gone for weeks or for months or however long, it would have been I mean, who knows what kind of damage could have happened. So make sure, again, that you have good eyes on these properties. You cannot just let them go. Anything like this could happen at any moment in time, whether it's freezing temperatures or a pipe just so happened to break because it wasn't installed properly at whatever point in time and some kind of stress finally broke it or whatever it is. There's an endless amount of things that could go on at these facilities, and you don't want to just assume that, hey, yeah, like nobody's living in it, it'll be totally fine. You want to get in there regularly. You want to run the water. You want to inspect the space and make sure that everything actually looks and functions okay. All right, with that said, that's all I've got on the photos and videos for the share time there. So,
are you a new self-storage investor and want to know what that facility is worth, what the risk is, how to underwrite it? Well, that's exactly what we do in a feasibility study. A feasibility study, we actually look at the market for you. We look at the finances, the underwriting, we show you where the upside is, the downside, and all the risk. That is actually what you can provide to banks to get capital and investors. It's a big worksheet which most banks actually require. So if you want to know what a storage facility is worth that you're looking at, come to us, follow the link in the show notes, and we will tell you.
With that said, guys, what I really, really want to just continue to drum on is the processes. Document those as you're starting out, even as you're scaling. as you bring people on, or as you're trying to coordinate with contractors to start doing the things that you used to do or that you are doing currently that you're wanting to get more and more away from, so you can have a little bit more hands-off approach to owning and operating a facility, or if you're really just trying to get out to focus more on more acquisitions, or getting better deals or raising money or whatever it is that you want to go do. Maybe you got a day job. You just love your day job, want to go do that. You don't want to be a storage manager, every night and weekend of your life and in between every moment you might have with your family or whatever it is. So, make sure that you guys document those processes. That's one of the biggest things that's really helped us through these situations of training, of being prepared, because we just, as we go, document and have documented a lot of those policies, processes, procedures, and just compile them and say, hey, when XYZ happens, we're going to do this, this, and this. This is who takes the lead on it. This is who's responsible for that and who's responsible for this. Here's the system that we're going to use, and here's the process, and really break it down. And again, really just want to hit on this whole entire aspect and this idea that it is very much a business and very much not a passive asset that you can just go out, buy. It's going to be this crazy cash flowing thing that you don't ever have to think of, and you're going to be a gajillionaire in no time kind of a deal. And this is just scraping the surface of the issues that we see at these properties regularly, routinely. It's not out of the ordinary to see things like this at a storage facility. And again, there's so many different dynamics to managing tenants and the interactions with tenants, and being able to, despite all of those aspects of something negative happening at a facility, being able to conduct business and to be able to provide a good product and service to them and for them, for those different tenants that are there. So again, with that fire that happened, how do you communicate to everybody there? Maybe their unit wasn't one of the affected units, but they're a unit a few doors down, and they had a bunch of smoke in their unit, or or their access was affected in some way. How do you notify tenants? How do you manage that whole process? And this is again, we're talking I've shown a lot of things where we've reacted to situations, right? But a lot of the time we really want to be proactive, and that's again where having those people on site, having the processes in place to verify what's going on the property, to again just get eyes on things, to make sure things are where they're supposed to be, to make sure tenants are where they're supposed to be at, doing the things they're supposed to be doing, and you're not allowing those kinds of things to happen that shouldn't be, to your utmost ability. And so much of that comes from being proactive. A lot of our problems and solutions could be solved by being more proactive. So as you're going out, you're building your processes, your policies, your procedures. If you're running into problems, it's a really good question to ask yourself is, okay, well, this happened. How do we prevent that from happening in the future? What solutions do we have on the table to either identify someone living in a unit sooner, or to prevent someone from wanting to come to the facility and ram a fence down with their truck? What options do we have? And being able to implement those things and understand, and communicate to the team why we're doing those things, what the new expectation is, all of those different aspects. So, being proactive, again, a portion of that is that documentation like we talked about. So make sure you're documenting day in, day out, what's going to happen when this happens or that happens. Make sure the employees know it, that they have the resources on hand at the facility, that they've had the training, that they've been given that they've had the opportunity to absorb it. It's really, really important to connect with your team. And to make sure that not only that they feel confident in their job and in their role, but that they feel supported in their job and in their role as well, and that they have the tools and the resources to succeed. And that's something that I think too is a really important just piece to hit on. Is it's pretty simple. Running a storage facility, right? You're getting people in units and people are moving out, and you're making sure the property looks good and making sure that no shenanigans are going on site, But at the end of the day, it's simple, but it's not easy. There's so many different dynamics to a storage facility. You've got the customer service and sales. You've got the inside admin and work. You've got the outside, maintenance side of the job. You've got the janitorial side of the thing. I mean, you've got all these just different aspects of the job. It's it's a simple job, but it's not an easy one. And again, I think that really just ties into this whole concept that we're talking about here today, as far as whether you're running a facility or you're owning or operating one on your own, or you have a team. It's so important that your team feels supported, that they have, again, those tools and resources to really truly succeed in their role. Because in those moments, in those hard times where they've got a bunch of tenants that are upset because hopefully you're doing some rate management and increasing rates and making more revenue and all of those different things, it's not easy getting yelled at. It's not easy having rude customers coming in, whatever that might be. It's not easy to deal with a lot of those situations. So make sure you guys, as you're building out your company and your team, if that is what you're doing, really focus on the employee. Give them the time, give them the attention, give them the kudos, give them the coaching and guidance, and really help them succeed. That's one of those things that we're constantly working on. And again, too, I think that's in and of itself a testament to just how not passive and easy and simple storage is. It's very hands-on in so many different ways, and due to the fact that we have an entire company, an entire team right outside this door, focused on making sure that these facilities are doing well, that the employees are doing good, that the physical assets doing good, that every piece of that property is functioning to its best and most capable ability. And if you really want to truly succeed, that's what it's going to take in a lot of today's markets, where competition has gotten a lot more stiff, a lot more heavy. You do have a way more competition in some of these markets than you used to. And how do you compete, especially with some of these larger operators that, like, you feel like this small fish in a big pond, right? But at the same time, you might find some of those markets where you could be, the big fish in a small pond, which is great. But in those areas where the competition is extremely heavy, it's important that all of these different pieces are very well managed, very well maintained over time, because that's going to be a massive competitive advantage to you in being able to be that fluid and that flexible and that quick to address problems, to meet expectations of customers, to shift a process, and all of those different things. There's so much more flexibility that comes with being smaller than being larger, corporate, all of those different things. So don't think that you're at some disadvantage. And again, with those more solid management practices in place, being more hands-on, being more dialed in to every aspect of that facility is really going to set you apart and set you up for success as we continue to move forward into the future of the self-storage industry continuing to consolidate. So it's going to keep happening. And obviously, no matter what your strategy is to buy and hold or buy and sell, you want to obviously increase the value as much as possible over that time that you're holding the asset, and be able to have an amazing exit at whatever point in time that you might have. So with that said, guys, today I wanted to make this short and sweet. I wanted to share some war stories with you guys. If you have any war stories, please share them down in the comments section below. Let us know. If you have any questions, also post your questions down in the comments section below. Always love looking at comments and seeing, what questions people are asking, what you guys want to hear more of, and would love to hear more from you guys, whether it's here, social media, any of that. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, comment section is a great one. Post those comments and questions on Instagram in the comments. Shoot us DMs, whatever you guys want to do. And make sure you guys check out the Inner Circle as well. That community is absolutely blown up. So many incredible people in there. Can't thank everybody enough for being a part of that. Doing exciting things in there all the time. Just had a really exciting presentation a couple weeks ago. We constantly are talking about how to find deals, which is super important, especially right now. It's so hard, guys. Don't do it on your own. Don't try to build Rome in a day on your own. Try to build Rome in, decades with a massive team of amazing people and resources that you can leverage, which is why we've put these groups together. They're so helpful for all of us to be able to get together and talk shop and see what everybody's seeing, see how everybody's doing. So be sure to check those out. All the links are in the comments section or in the description below, not the comment section, but check those out. Get at us on social media. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Thanks so much for hanging out today.